And we're back with another episode of Inside Sports Fantasy Football. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Inside Sports Fantasy Football, the Lakers Fast Break, Game Source, and of course, Pop Culture Cosmos. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can share, subscribe, follow, or do whatever it is that you can to support us right here at Inside Sports Fantasy Football, the Lakers Fast Break, Game Source, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture. I mentioned the Lakers Fast Break. Trade deadline is here. We're covering it big time, along with some major trades the Lakers have made. So catch it today at the Lakers Fast Break. The Dom-ination Sports Nation, which gets you up to speed on everything going on in the realm of sports. So if you want to hear Dominic and his dad, Chris Lardieri, talk about what's going on with the Super Bowl, go ahead and check it out today. Plus the world of sports at Dom-ination Sports Nation today. Plus there are also our good friends out there at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, Inside Sports Fantasy Football on Facebook, and also social media. If you can support all of that, it is sincerely appreciated. And once again, big shout out to Buddy Gold of Croc Radio. Appreciate so much your enthusiasm over our show here, Inside Sports Fantasy Football. It is the big week. It's the big week out there that everybody has been looking forward to. It is the Super Bowl. I can say that. I don't think the NFL will get on me trademark-wise, so I don't think I need to say the big game. But it is the big game. It is a Super Bowl. Grab your snacks. Grab your grilling food. I went to the store today, and the entire hot dog and hamburger bun section was already wiped out. So if you aren't going right now, you better go soon, because everybody's going to be having their parties, their get-togethers to check out the big event this weekend as the Philadelphia Eagles face off against the Kansas City Chiefs. And here today to break down what he sees for this weekend's game, plus also as well, maybe some insights on some things you might want to look at as far as the betting scene is concerned. He's a good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check him out when he and his son invade your homes with some great sports analogies and news and updates right there for you at the Dom-ination Sports Nation. It is Chris Lardieri. And Chris, great to have you back. I said we would take a week off because the NFL essentially did playing that flag football all-pro game, and I understand why. It's for safety reasons and whatnot, but I can't believe that we here in Vegas filled up a stadium to watch that debacle. And for the players, I'm sure they would rather be in Hawaii anyways. So be that as it may, we're now a weekend. They did the press. They're already going ahead and getting ready, because I think it's going to be a good matchup this weekend at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, great to be back, Gerald. Thank you. Dom unfortunately couldn't join us. School comes first, but he sends his regards. And in terms of invading homes with sports talk, our latest episode of the Dom-ination Sports Nation, that's Dom-ination Sports Nation, wherever you find your podcast, dropped Wednesday morning with our Super Bowl preview. So you could hear Dom's insights there. Give him his due. He's been a long-time Mahomes and Chiefs fan, so not surprisingly, he thinks KC is going to take it. But for me, I really think this matchup could go either way. I've been going back and forth all during the week, and I think the key factor right now has got to be Mahomes' ankle. If it's healed better than it was when he played against Cincinnati, I think that makes the Chiefs a little bit of a favorite, even though Vegas doesn't agree. But apparently Vegas knows more about ankles than I do.
Well, he's got to give you the sound bites. You're hearing the press. Oh, I'll be ready to go. Everything's going to be A-okay. I'm going to be just fine. That's a high ankle sprain, my friend. High ankle sprains, from what I've seen traditionally with athletes, I've seen it with myself, they don't get back on the road to 100% that quickly. I mean, it takes a month, sometimes up to 6 weeks, even more in some cases. So you're asking him fresh off of what now be the second or third week going in that he, since he actually suffered the actual high ankle sprain. I'm not totally convinced he's going to be 100% going into the game. Will it be enough to go ahead and stop his mobility? I don't think so. I think he's going to gut it out, do whatever he needs to do in order to go ahead and try and get his team to win. But the thing is, they're coming up against a buzzsaw, a Philadelphia Eagles team that is gelling once again like they did earlier this season. They looked really good in last week's game where they totally dismantled the 49ers as soon as they messed up Brock Purdy and his elbow. It really was not going. The game was over in my opinion as soon as he got hurt, and they can do the same to Kansas City. I think if they get Mahomes out of the game, it could probably be not so pretty sight once again. Those days where you had the big blowouts, hopefully they will not return. But if Mahomes is knocked out of the game, if they go for that ankle and he's knocked out once again, it could be an ugly sight at the Super Bowl.
Definitely, yeah, and yeah. Let's face it, the Eagles played 3.5 quarters against a quarterbackless team in San Francisco 2 weeks ago. But I think what will happen, Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy will devise something where Mahomes can't run. We saw that against Cincinnati, but a lot of quick drops. I don't know if they shorten up the passing lanes. The Eagles are going to key on Travis Kelce. They've got an excellent pass rush, but if you ask me, former Giants great at cornerback Bradbury has been resurrected here with Philly. I'm still skeptical. He's as good as they think he is. He's more a function of that excellent Eagles pass rush. So maybe the Chiefs exploit something there. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster and Kadarius Toney are going to give it a go. McCole Hardman will be the only one sitting it out. It's going to be they're going to have to air it
I think
out.
was activated too, wasn't he?
I believe so, yeah. And, Isaiah Pacheco, a fellow Rutgers alum, has really come on nice here this season and in the playoffs. But, that'll be nice, too, to have him out of the backfield to mix it up.
I think Kelce, though, is the key, in my opinion. If Kelce can run havoc in the middle of the defense, probably 10, 15 yards down the field and keep on going to it, because he's a volume receiver. He doesn't mind catching 8, 10 targets thrown at him a game, even more on some occasions. So if he can have a big game, that I think can keep them in the game. But that means Mahomes has to stay on the field.
And I think he will. The Chiefs' offense, look, I can't predict injuries, but their offensive line has improved. I don't think they're going to have Mahomes roll out like you saw with Cincy. He's going to have to be more of a pocket quarterback. But, they also had a lot of in-game injuries that they had to adapt on the fly. So I think what will happen is the Chiefs are going to dare anyone else but the Eagles D will dare anyone but Kelce to beat them in this game. And that could be the difference. If you've got two guys shadowing Kelce, who steps up for the Chiefs offensively remains to be seen.
Once again, it's Inside Sports Fantasy Football. It's Chris Lardieri from the Dom-ination Sports Nation. Go ahead and check out he and Dom Lardieri today for the Dom-ination Sports Nation for all your sports coverage. Plus, also as well, I've got the Lakers Fast Break covering the latest news and trends in the NBA, including the NBA trade deadline, and of course, the world of pop culture at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it is the Super Bowl. There's like 5 million props out there, and I won't ask you to cover each and every one. But, your son said he is leaning as a Kansas City fan towards what he thinks Kansas City will do. He thinks Mahomes will be protected enough in the pocket to go ahead and find some openings in the Philadelphia defense. I'm still, at this point in time, I think I'm leaning slightly towards Philadelphia. I wouldn't be surprised either which way, but seeing how dominant Philadelphia was from the defensive side of the ball makes me kind of question whether or not that Kansas City will find that same kind of success that they did with Cincinnati and earlier in the playoffs. So I'm leaning Philadelphia, but I think right now, if Mahomes stays healthy, it could be a 27-24 game. If not, I think it could be a lot worse. But again, that's to me up to, I think also as well, Jalen Hurts. We talk about one side of the ball with Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts, if he stays mobile, if he can go ahead and continue to do what he's been doing throughout the playoffs, if they can continue that running game, which has been really solid for them, I think that they can find a lot of success on Sunday.
Absolutely. And I think the only question really on that side of the ball is Hurts' shoulder fully healed? I mean, he didn't really get challenged much against the Giants.
It's a shoulder versus ankle battle.
Right, exactly. And he didn't get challenged much against the 49ers. He had that long pass early to Devontae Smith that really wasn't a catch. We found out after the fact. Thanks, Fox replays. But um, I think that the Chiefs have to contain him. They cannot let him get into open space and roam and start to run or throw on the run. Make him stay in the pocket. And like we said 2 weeks ago, Chris Jones and Frank Clark are going to be the difference. The Eagles have a stout offensive line, one of the, if not the best in the NFL. So they're going to have to apply pressure if they want to win. They're going to have to hit Hurts. But he's got so many weapons. I mean, besides Sanders at running back and Smith, you've got A.J. Brown, Dallas Goddard. He's got so many different options to go to when he throws the ball, and I think that could really be dangerous against this Chiefs defense.
Looking forward to it indeed. It is the Super Bowl. It is the Philadelphia Eagles facing off against the Kansas City Chiefs. So when it comes down to it, my friend, your son is leading Kansas City. I am leaning if both or if everything or if everyone stays healthy, if they stay healthy, I'm thinking Philadelphia 27-24, sneaking it out. Although, again, I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City, if Mahomes is healthy, if they pull it out themselves. Your thoughts on a final thought going into the weekend and what you think the score might end up being?
Yeah, full disclosure, last summer, I know we've documented this on the show throughout the season. I picked the Chiefs at 9-1 to win it all. So got a vested interest in it. I'm a diehard Giants fan. I do not like Philadelphia teams, with the Eagles being at the top of my list, but I wouldn't be surprised if they win. I'll put it that way. I know I'm similar to you. I don't think it'll be blowout by any means. I think it'll be a little more low scoring than the over under, which I believe is 51, is dictating. I wouldn't be surprised at something like a 24-17 score with the Eagles. Now,
So is that
part
the
of
total
that's,
score right now is 51, did you
I
say?
believe so. I'll double check on that. I
You
checked
saw it?
earlier
I thought
today.
that's what it was. That's what I had it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I put my final score at 51 for
Yeah,
total
so
score. So
you got the push. Good for you. Vegas is going to be very unhappy with you. But yeah, that's what it was earlier today. I say we go with
they
it. I
usually
saw it
are,
in
my
writing.
friend.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would not be surprised if the Eagles win. Now, that said, I think that this is a winnable game for the Chiefs. Just what worries me is that Eagles offensive line protecting Hurts is going to be a formidable task for the Chiefs D. And I worry about Mahomes as a pocket passer because let's face it, there were moments in the third and fourth quarter I thought Joe Burrow had the game won. And questionable play calls, continuing to throw deep on short yardage situations, and then that sack that Chris Jones got on him. Bad punt return they give up, 15 yards to Mahomes, game over. So it could be one of these situations where the Chiefs look like a beaten team and then they pull it out late with a field goal or a late touchdown to someone like a Sky Moore who comes out of the blue. I wouldn't be surprised if this game ended in either team's favor at this point. Just one of the rare instances where I don't have a good gut feel for the game. You got 2 1 seeds and I think they're evenly matched. And honestly, at this point, I just hope for a good game.
You and I both, my friend. That and some great commercials and great movie trailers, because I got to make sure that that's covered also as well on the Pop Culture Cosmos. We do our annual best and worst of Super Bowl commercials and Super Bowl trailers. So look forward to that on the Monday show for the Pop Culture Cosmos. But before we head on out, my friend, knew this was going to be a little bit of a quick episode because, of course, we're just covering the Super Bowl. Before we head on out, there's always, with so many prop bets, I know there's one that you're eyeing on. I know there's one bet. I know there's one odds that you're really just looking at closely. So what do? We go out, we make sure everything's okay. Chris is just looking around the front lawn of his house and just deciding, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and head outside. This beautiful air after such a cold winter, rainy winter, one of the first nice days of the year. You're stepping outside and you go ahead and check everything is good so far, but then you go ahead and look over and woof woof woof. There it is, the doghouse.
For one final time this NFL season, the
Yes.
doghouse. I'm staying away from the point spread in the money line. Chiefs plus 1.5. Don't see much value there. Don't see much value taking the Eagles if you believe in them either way. So here I go and I look on my trusty website and I find the prop bets, and there's so many of them, from the color of Gatorade to the length of the national anthem. over the years, I've had decent luck just prognosticating the first touchdown scored. And whether you're a Chiefs believer or an Eagles believer, I think there's value on both sides of the ball. So I'll throw a couple names out there at you. Before I looked at these, I really like the way Isaiah Pacheco has been playing, and not just because we both went to Rutgers University, but I think he's really run well, and he's gotten more reps as Clyde Edwards-Helaire got hurt and kind of got some carries taken away throughout the season. But apparently Vegas or the professionals or whoever it is on to him. He's only 8-1 to score the first touchdown. Travis Kelce, by comparison, 7-1. Jalen Hurts 6.5-1. So down the list I go, and I say, well, if Hurts isn't going to run one in or Mahomes isn't going to throw one to Kelce, who do I like? On the Eagles side of the ball, you've got Devontae Smith at 17-1 to score the first touchdown. I see good value there. I mean, they almost connected in the NFC Championship game on that catch that wasn't a catch, but I think those two have really been playing well here down the stretch. They've got a nice rapport this year. On the Chiefs side, there's two receivers, one who Mahomes really had some luck with here in later parts of the season. I know he was hurt last week. Juju Smith-Schuster is also 17-1 to score the first touchdown. If you really want to go kind of out on a limb, there's a guy last week who stepped up in his place, former Packer Marquez Valdez-Scantling is 19-1 to score the first touchdown. You want to take a flyer on Chiefs wide receivers to score, I think those are two good names for you.
Once again, it is Inside Sports Fantasy Football. If you have any questions for us at any point in time during the off season, we're always willing to go ahead and help you out, answer any questions or comments about our show. Truly appreciate it when you watch or listen. But if you have any questions for us, isfantasyfootball@yahoo.com or Inside Sports FF on Twitter. I'm going to throw one out there that I saw the other day, and I think I mentioned it. I don't know if it was mentioned on the last show, but I mentioned on the Lakers Fast Break, and that was over under 4.5 on the number of airplanes flying over during the national anthem, and I said over because I think they're going to do 5, and that's just me, but I don't know that for sure. But as individual, I did interview way back when, I think for the Lakers Fast Break, was it Pop Culture? It was for Pop Culture Cosmos, Rafael Esparza. He is part of a really cool site, and I'm going to go ahead and give him props on it. And that is youcanbetthat.com. He's got tons and tons of prop bets that you can bet on at You Can Bet That. That's you, the letter U, can bet that all together.com. That's youcanbetthat.com. He sent me an email in regards to over a dozen commercial prop bets in regards to some like which beer maker is going to do the first TV advertisement, which snack is going to have the first TV advertisement, how many babies or toddlers will be in a Kia ad, how many commercials will have a dog in it. All these crazy ideas, these crazy prop bets, it has just gotten so big and so large. So wanted to go ahead and give out props to Rafael Esparza. So if you were feeling a little bit, adventurous, go ahead and check out youcanbetthat.com for all your props needs for the Super Bowl. But my friend, it's been a great episode. I truly enjoy your thoughts as always. Wanted to go ahead and thank you again for another great season. Both you and Dom, also as well, Joe Soro and Jason Dutch as well for stepping in for a couple weeks as well. When it comes to the off season, is there anything that you really prepare yourself for? But when you start gearing up for next year's season in fantasy football?
I think like every other football fan, the free agent cycle that starts in March, it's very interesting. A lot of the big name players garnish all the headlines and chatter on the various talking head type shows. But I think too, you start to see even with some of the, I don't want to say lesser players, but non-big name players start changing teams. For instance, look at Scantling going to the Chiefs last year. Now, did he win you your fantasy football title? No, not necessarily. But if you had to plug him in for a week and you won and you made the playoffs, it's those sorts of things that help out. So moral of the story is you want to pay attention to who's going where and not just because a big name player gets traded like Aaron Rodgers, or last year Russell Wilson went to the Broncos. It's the players around him. Or if a team gets a better quarterback, like say the Jets improve their quarterback, I think that improves the value of players like a Garrett Wilson, for instance. So you want to start paying attention to things like that. People will also say the draft in May. It's very interesting, but in fantasy football terms, I think it's very hard for first year rookies to really make a name for themselves in fantasy. What you will see is a second year player start to make a move. Guys like last year, Jonathan Taylor had a really good second year. I know Pacheco had a good rookie year for the Chiefs, but he didn't emerge till late in the year. So I wouldn't look for running back so much as I would maybe some of the receivers we've seen over the years have had good rookie years. So that's who you want to look at from a draft perspective. And then too, you just want to see what teams are improving. I mean, if you're a better all around team, your team's offense gets better. Maybe it's good to start identifying, oh, that could bode well for the running back because this team upgraded their offensive line. So you want to pay attention to everything. Don't make it the end all be all. There's still plenty of time in training camp for guys that are in favor at OTAs. Come July and August, they're in the coach's doghouse and not starting. But I think it's good to start laying the groundwork with free agency in March.
Once again, it's Inside Sports Fantasy Football. If you have questions for us, one more time before we head on out, that's isfantasyfootball@yahoo.com or Inside Sports FF on Twitter. My friend, again, it's been a great season. You've been tremendous, you and your son. I wish you guys continue blessings. I actually going to probably bring you guys on from time to time, probably on the Pop Culture Cosmos or maybe the Lakers Fast Break. So we just keep in touch and your thoughts on the sports scene. It's always nice to go ahead and catch up with you guys because you guys are so tremendous at what you do with Dom-ination Sports Nation. But any last thoughts before we head on out?
I want to thank you, Gerald. I think this is what, year 4 you've had me on, and then Dom moved into the fold last year. And I know now that he's a big bad high schooler playing sports and having a lot of homework, he hasn't been on as much, but when he is, we enjoy the heck out of it. Thank you for promoting our show, Dom-ination Sports Nation, wherever you find your podcasts. I enjoy it, and we are going to have you on. We haven't talked much basketball on this week's episode. We talked LeBron, and I made sure to get another cheap shot in at James Dolan, my least favorite owner of any team I root for. But we're going to have to start talking a lot of basketball now with the playoffs approaching, and you're always one of our favorite guests to have on, and just thank you for the opportunity. And then in closing, with the fact checking here, we fact check our stuff. I did a double check. The Devontae Smith odds are 14-1, so I stand corrected there, but I still like the value. And then one thing I wanted to pass along from Dom, he was looking through some of these outrageous props. He doesn't gamble. Don't worry, parents out there. You don't have to, report me to anyone. We just look at these things for fun. He noticed that Rihanna songs, and she's not going to sing the whole song, but the number of songs she at least starts to sing or sings part of, the over-under is 9.5, Gerald. I don't know if that appeared on your buddy's website, but do you really think Rihanna can sing 10 songs or more in that amount of time? She's hasn't performed in a while. I could see it hitting right below the number at 9. That would not surprise me. I don't know what you think.
Well, it's always done in a montage, and because she does, or whoever's the lead act start. I think they're also basing it off of previous years with previous artists as well.
Yeah.
I would probably go under just because it depends on who she brings on as special guests to have their own time in the sun. But I'm not going to say she won't do it or can't do it because I think she's more than up to it. She's one of the most sensational entertainers on the planet. I truly have enjoyed her stuff for many years. And so I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually coming off of last year, which I really enjoyed as well. Maybe it's just because I'm from Inglewood, but I really enjoyed last year's as well, as I've told you on this show as well. But I think that I'm probably going to say a little bit under, probably going to say 7 is the number I'm thinking, only because of the fact that I think it's going to allow her time a little bit more to go ahead and maybe on one or two of them, if there's a slow ballad that she puts in the mix, maybe that's going to give her more time to sing that. But again, also as well, it depends how much time she gives to whoever, if she brings on special guests. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. Off the top of my head, I don't know. but I think they usually do. And if they do so, they give time to them for their own stuff. So I'm saying 7. So I'm saying it's just under, but I'm not going to be surprised if she does because she's got a litany of songs, of great songs that people know and love.
Yeah, definitely. And I was thinking too, not only will she probably bring someone out as the surprise guest in quotes, but she's a good dancer too. Maybe she takes some time to dance during an instrumental part and clock starts ticking on that, and that's one less song you can sing. I can't believe we're analyzing this stuff like it's, the flex in our fantasy football league.
People spend money on it, my friend. People spend money on it indeed. I've seen it grow over the past 20 or so years into something where they said, maybe it's just they'll start off with a prop bet like will this running back go over 100 yards? Then it turns into match this player's success on the Super Bowl with whatever the Daytona Clash was,
Yeah.
or excuse me, I'm sorry, the Daytona 500, which gets run usually on sometimes on the same day as the Super Bowl, or the All Star Game, or they match it, with for an All Star Game, that weekend they run it. It's about if it runs on the same weekend, they they do a combo as far as this football player with this basketball player who has a basketball game that day, and this other individual in the sports world. Now it's transitioned into also entertainment things as far as anything relating to the Super Bowl. So yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm just thinking the WWE should go ahead and do another halftime heat like they did before. It was a ratings winner back in the day when they did it with The Rock and Mankind. I think they should do it again. I really think they should do it again because that 30 minutes of intermission for some is they just love what they see, but they're for others, they can go ahead and use it as a distraction at a time in their son to go ahead and get their own, time in the spotlight when they're with that kind of massive audience watching TV. But need I digress on that? There's so many different props out there, so many crazy things that go on during the Super Bowl. Nothing surprises me anymore when it comes to prop bets for the Super Bowl.
They have a bet for everything. Just scrolling through the list amazes me each year.
Absolutely, but not for us. They need some prop bets for our show, the Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Will Dom be excited for the results of the Super Bowl? That's over under there. So yeah, I got to
Yeah.
go ahead and talk about that. So yeah,
Just give it
will
time. Give it time.
exactly. So yeah, will Gerald be able to keep his voice during the Super Bowl as far as, or will it go out on him? Because I've got a lot of hours of recording here in the next few days. So will Gerald have a voice by the time Super Bowl comes? That's an over under I'd probably try to bet on. So, but I will tell you, my friend, it's great having you here. My best regards to Dom and continued success with his schooling and education and everybody out there. Thank you so much for watching and listening. It is Inside Sports Fantasy Football. It's Gerald Glassford and Chris Lardieri. Please go ahead and support Chris Lardieri's great show, Dom-ination Sports Nation Today. You know what I do, the Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends of pop culture twice a week, every week. Also, as well, I cover the Lakers Fast Break. So that's the Lakers and everything going on in the NBA. We do as many as 5, 6. In fact, this week we're probably doing 8 or 9 shows this week right there for you at Lakers Fast Break. So for Chris Lardieri, it's Gerald Glassford. We cannot thank you enough for supporting what we do here at the Inside Sports Fantasy Football. We're looking forward to another great Super Bowl this weekend and also another great season ahead. We'll probably pop in maybe 1 or 2 times during the course of the off months to go ahead and talk about what we like or don't like that's going on in the NFL. That we also go ahead and get you prepped up for another great fantasy football season, as only we can do right here at Inside Sports Fantasy Football.